Cold rain soaks Mike as he confronts an unfinished shelter in the wild. This is no casual trip, but a grueling 24-hour endurance test using only cheap hardware supplies. The ultimate survival challenge officially begins. This gear selection is not a random assortment of items, but a strict budget allocation of 86 pounds for the entire expedition. The survivalist meticulously reviews each civilian hardware product from a modest 9-pound bow sought to a surprisingly solid 17-pound hatchet. Every single tool represents a calculated gamble against the unpredictable elements of the deep forest. He even includes a simple laundry bag, the only truly cheap item in his carefully curated kit. Pure water is essential since the hardware store lacks hydration supplies. Bringing external water becomes a necessary concession to basic survival needs in a damp environment. The true masterpiece of this shopping spree is a 15-pound roll of industrial bubble wrap intended for constructing a revolutionary, elevated bed with the foundational strategy set. The arduous construction phase commences. So much first things first, the soar. I'm gonna keep all the packaging and take it away with me. And then that reasons it, and then I guess you can change the bait easily. And then that pulls the tension on it. Right? Let's cut some wood. The hatchet feels balanced in his hand, weighing merely 450 grams. This compact tool proves remarkably efficient for shaping sharp wooden stakes with rapid, precise strikes in the damp forest environment. Instead of relying on complex joining techniques, the survivalist utilizes the blunt back of the blade to drive these stakes deep into the soil between logs. Such pragmatic adaptations transform ordinary hardware into vital structural anchors for the shelter framework. The wooden frame stands firm, recognizing the severe threat of ground cold. Mike prioritizes thermal insulation by gathering abundant forest foliage to create a thick protective barrier for the upcoming night. The black laundry bag now serves as a massive receptacle for collecting thousands of dry leaves, an ingenious repurposing of cheap materials that ensures a crucial layer of warmth against the freezing earth and preserves vital body heat throughout the long, dark hours. A massive pile of leaves dumping the heavy harvest into the rectangular frame instantly elevates the sleeping surface far above. The damp, unforgiving forest floor, ensuring a dry resting area. This meticulous attention to bedding significantly surpasses previous expeditions, proving that a comfortable rest is the foundation of wilderness endurance before shifting focus entirely to erecting the overhead shelter framework. More timber is required. Pushing the modest bow saw to its absolute limits, Mike aggressively cuts through a massive log to its absolute limits. Secure heavy rafters for the roof. He demonstrates the tool's maximum cutting capacity. Suddenly, rain begins to fall, instantly transforming routine construction into a desperate battle against the elements. The downpour intensifies rapidly. Acknowledging his late arrival, Mike accepts the harsh British weather without complaint. He resolves to push forward through the deep mud using a hatchet as a makeshift hammer. He forcefully drives wooden pegs into the saturated muddy ground. Lacking a sleeping bag, Mike dons a hoodie and wool jumper to withstand the cold. 4 sturdy pegs anchor the frame. Yet the relentless deluge soaks his clothes and the precious leaf insulation, forcing a strategic retreat beneath the trees to salvage the waterlogged materials before nightfall. Structural stability demands precision. Flattening the rounded contact points between logs prevents catastrophic wobbling. Ensuring the vertical supports remain rigid under heavy loads while driving nails into green wood requires extreme caution to prevent splitting. With the main frame secured, the survivalist transitions to binding the roof rafters, adapting to the dwindling supply of hardware fasteners by relying on alternative binding methods. Cordage proves truly indispensable in this critical phase, having completely exhausted the meager supply of nails. The survivalist relies heavily on the previously acquired ropes to lash the delicate roof rafters securely in place against the wind. The grand vision now involves encasing the entire structure in a massive shell of industrial bubble wrap for protection. However, the sheer size of the remaining clout nails poses a severe threat of shattering the thin wooden framework entirely. Waterproofing requires strict logic. Positioning the smooth side of the bubble wrap facing outward allows heavy rainfall to glide off effortlessly, preventing dangerous water pooling on the fragile roof during the continuous storm. The survivalist deliberately avoids hammering the nails completely flush, intentionally leaving room for the thin timber to flex rather than snap, achieving a delicate balance between securing the shelter and preserving structural integrity. I'm hungry. I'm pretty hungry. That is it. The butt do a bit of the back, but I'm running out of light. I've maxed out the camera settings until I change. Lens. So that's it. It's my moisture remains a threat stepping inside the newly erected shelter. The survivalist immediately confronts the dampness of the leaf bed, necessitating an urgent waterproofing solution to separate the sleeper from the wet foliage below. By slicing open the original plastic package of the bubble wrap, a highly effective moisture barrier is created, an ingenious layering technique that ensures a dry resting environment despite the relentless outdoor downpour. Illumination breaks the darkness utilizing portable camera lights. Mike attempts to carve traditional feather sticks from damp wood to serve as efficient fire starters. The cheap knife proves remarkably frustrating for this delicate task, producing only a meager amount of curly shavings, ultimately deemed useless for fire preparation. The blade remains perfectly adequate for slicing through synthetic cords. Exhaustion sets in deeply. Having skipped meals throughout the grueling construction phase, the survivalist mounts two adhesive LED lights onto the plastic ceiling, instantly transforming the gloomy interior into a brightly lit sanctuary for the night. Attention then turns to igniting a warming fire using a barbecue lighter, and the imperfect wooden shavings as the spark catches the fragile tinder to initiate a vital source of heat within the damp shelter, defying the relentless weather outside. Stop.
Fix.
Yes. We have fire, especially when you're initially getting the fire going. But we've made it. The fire is going. That looks really cool. A little. Comfort is finally achieved. The leftover bubble wrap is ingeniously repurposed into a thick, insulating pillow, while the apex design of the plastic roof effectively traps and radiates the campfire's warmth into a remarkably toasty microclimate. Listening to the steady rhythm of rain drumming against the exterior, Mike revels in the profound satisfaction of a job well done within this surprisingly cozy refuge where the simple shelter stands resilient against the storm outside. Hunger is acknowledged, calmly addressing the inevitable question of sustenance. The survivalist accepts a complete fast for the night, recognizing that a hardware store expedition inherently precludes culinary provisions. The primary objective remains testing the viability of civilian tools, while tomorrow's dawn will bring a search for natural edibles. To rectify the caloric deficit, the stainless steel dish rack, originally envisioned as a perfect wilderness grill for freshly caught game, stands completely useless without any food to cook in the desolate camp. It was part of a challenge regarding tool versatility, yet remains idle tonight as the relentless rain finally begins to extinguish the struggling campfire. Mike removes his outer gray hoodie and dons a thick wool jumper to combat the plunging temperatures, highlighting the unforgiving nature of the elements against him. Warmth is fully restored, contrasting sharply with previous expeditions spent shivering on the bare earth. The current layered clothing and elevated plastic shelter provide an unprecedented level of thermal comfort against the cold night. Zipping up the final garment, the survivalist finds immense solace in the rhythmic pattern of rain striking the roof, a sound that signifies absolute protection before sleep finally takes over. Get some snowball. Catch you all in the morning. Right, well, the fire's going to try and forest some food. That's nice, though. Way better than a precious nut emerges after cracking numerous empty shells. The survivalist extracts a plump hazelnut from a fresh branch, validating the strategy of foraging directly from the high canopy. Likening the successful harvest to a squirrel's lifestyle, he dismantles the camp and packs all gear into a laundry bag, concluding the endurance test with a profound sense of accomplishment. Dismissing notions of extreme wilderness survival, Mike clarifies that this expedition serves as an experimental test of commercial hardware viability. Far from becoming waste, the bubble wrap will be repurposed as protective void fill for his online bushcraft store. This complete reuse ensures no traces left behind, harmonizing human experimentation with ecological preservation. The journey reaches its end. Reflecting on the relentless dampness that tested every ounce of physical endurance, the survivalist expresses deep gratitude for the experience while soliciting future challenge ideas from the dedicated audience. A parting wish is directed at the hardware retailer to stock basic rations before the survivalist adjusts the heavy bent pack and disappears into the dense forest, leaving the wilderness exactly as it was found.